everyone, it's Rita. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. So today I am going to just kind of like get ready. I do have to run a bunch of errands today and it's already pretty late. It's already past 2 o'clock. So I'm just gonna do a full face, just nothing too special. I do want to use though my MAC palette. So I saw that Shelbey Wilson posted a video pretty much saying like MAC is still pretty good, and honestly I've always loved MAC. But now I feel like people, like she was mentioning, people just hate on MAC all the time. I don't know why, because their products are still really good. And this is the palette I'm going to be using today. This is something that I personalized myself, got all of the shades. And to be something that I specifically did to my liking, I don't use it as often. And when I look at it, I think it's so beautiful. But yeah, I'm going to be doing an eye look with this and then just, you know, putting a full face of makeup and then try to do it pretty fast. I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Primer. So I did pick up this just randomly on my latest Ulta visit. It was, I want to say like 2 weeks ago, and it was there in store and I thought it was pretty interesting. I mean, everyone loves, of course, the Tatcha, the original that then e.l.f. brought kind of like a look-alike, if I don't want to say copy, of the other one from Tatcha. And then they brought out this one, which is kind of like the same product but in a luminous finish. My skin, if you are not familiar with my channel, my skin is more on the drier side, so I tend to not use a lot of mattifying products. That being said, I'm about to also use like a more mattifying powder. But anyway, I wanted to try this. It has no smell. Maybe a little bit of a talcum like. So I just kind of like got the product in here. I don't even know how it feels. It's nice though. I like the texture. And I'm just going to, I think I used way too much. But so it's giving a very nice finish to my face. Yeah, that's very luminous. I really like it. Because again, I don't use this kind of like more silicone-y type products. But this one is actually feeling more like really more like a moisturizer that was just kind of like hard, and then once you kind of like blend it into your skin, it's just going on very smoothly like a moisturizer. It does feel good and it looks good on my skin, and it did give me that luminosity, and it's just kind of like a little bit tacky, so it's gonna help, you know, for the next product, which is going to be the foundation, to kind of like stick to my face a little bit better. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the MAC, the Water Weight Foundation, and I have mine in the shade NC35, and I really love this foundation. I bought it, I want to say almost 2 years ago maybe at this point, I can't remember, for like especially for spring and summer, and I haven't used it as much this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the back of my hand. This is a very liquidy and very runny foundation, so I don't want to fuss too much with it, but it's literally like going down on my hand. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab my sponge, and I'm going to start balancing this everywhere on my face. Now, just to keep in the MAC theme, I'm also going to be using, I'm gonna be mixing these two shades. I've got NC30 and NC35, which is pretty dark for me. I've got the Pro Longwear Concealer, which I remember back in the day, everyone in YouTube loved this primer. I'm sorry, this concealer. It was kind of like on everyone's video and everyone just raved about it. It's still a great concealer. I really, really love it. I don't use it as much because of the way that I have to sort of like mix them on the back of my hand, and a color that one of the colors is not specifically perfect for my skin tone. So it's just a bit more of like a fuss, if that makes sense, but not really. So anyway, I just mix them here in the back of my hand, and I'm gonna mix them with my finger, and I'm going to use this to cover the whiteness around my eyes, and also right here underneath my nose for some redness, and then around my mouth because I also do have some discoloration there. I always like to blend in my concealer with a brush just because I do need that extra coverage, and the sponge is gonna take too much of the coverage that I actually do need. For powder, I'm gonna be using the Laura Mercier, the translucent loose setting powder. This is just the original. I was kind of like trying to not put this powder everywhere. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually powder most of my face, but I'm going to start with just around my eyes and where I put the concealer, because I am gonna be using a cream bronzer. So I kind of want to go ahead and do that first before I powder most of my face, or pretty much all of my face. For my under eye powder, on top of the one that I already used, I'm gonna go ahead and use my Turn Up the Light Too Faced palette, and I like to use the shade in the middle, and this is kind of like very similar to the Hourglass powders, just to bring a little bit of more luminosity to the under eye. And then I'm just gonna use the same around my nose and my mouth. For my bronzer, I'm gonna be using the first bronzer is gonna be the cream one by Fenty, and I've got mine in the shade Macchiato. I do have two shades, but I want to use the lighter one today. The next bronzer that I'm gonna be using is going to be a bit more darker, so I didn't want to use my darker cream one. So I'm just going to kind of like very lightly, not really bronze, not really contour, but kind of like try to define my cheeks a little bit more with this product. And for my powder bronzer, I'm going to be using the Kosas. I've got mine in the shade Medium Golden Bronze. I love this bronzer. It is so gorgeous. It's kind of like more, it's not really like highlighty, but it's very illuminating bronzer, and I love it. I usually don't expect a baked bronzer to be this easy to apply. They're usually a little bit more kind of like drier, but this one is just super smooth and it's just so easy to apply. I mean, I absolutely love it. This is in the shade Medium, and honestly it is very kind of like, I don't want to say too dark for my skin tone, but it is a bit more on the darker side. So I'm just using this big e.l.f. Blush brush. This one is just the complexion brush. For my highlight, I'm gonna go ahead and use that palette again, but I'm going to use the Glow and the Dazzle. I'm gonna like mix them together. So this one and this one is a bit more, I don't want to say chunky, but it has a very light, faint glitter to it. It's not glitter, it's not like your typical smooth highlight. No, it has a bit of a texture. That's the word I was looking for, because it's not really chunky glitter by any means. It's just kind of like a bit more textured highlight, but I really do love it, surprisingly. I know whenever this palette came around, I believe back in January, people were kind of like complaining or not loving this highlight because of kind of like that texture, but once translated on your face, it really, you can really not see that. It just gives a more intense highlight, and I really like that. And for my blush, I'm going to be using another kind of like very summery product that I absolutely love to use in the spring and summer. This one is the Beach Babe by Nude Sticks. It's kind of a bit newer in my collection, but it's such a beautiful shade. It's literally like if you had, you know, been outside and got like a suntan, that kind of like very pretty reddish brown. I really love it. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and use this with a Wet n Wild smaller stipple brush, and I'm just gonna go ahead and smile and put this on the apple of my cheeks. It's such a beautiful shade, and whenever I use kind of like bronzers or more like bronzy blushes, I always, realistically with every blush that I use and every bronzer, but especially whenever they're more kind of like bronzy type blushes, I like to use this also in kind of like the middle part of my face right here, just a little bit, not too much, as kind of like compared to what I do on my cheeks, just to kind of like mimic that that real natural suntan. Yeah, I feel like that little extra bronzer or that little extra highlight, blush right on the center of your face just gives you a more realistic look. If I went a little overboard, I'll kind of like just fix it at the end, but I just love that look of like a more bronzy face. Again, I do not want summer to end. It was just way too fast. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my brows off camera, and then we'll just go ahead and do my eyes with the MAC palette. So I'll be right back. I just realized that I wasn't filming just now. So the first shade that I just applied all over my lids is going to be Rice Paper, which is going to be the very first shade up here. And this one is kind of like a very pretty, kind of like more beigey vanilla shade. I feel like it just works very good with my skin tone, and I really love it. And I just applied this with a flat shader brush, literally all over, just to kind of like bring the eyes, the first color, like as a base. Now I'm gonna use my very favorite shade out of all of my MAC eyeshadows, and probably one of my very top favorite shadows of all times, and this is of course soft brown. That's what it looks like. I pulled it out again from the palette just to show you a little bit closer and easier. So this one is going to be soft brown, and I also remember back in the day this was probably my favorite shade that I bought because everyone raved and loved this shade, and honestly it's such a good one. There's a reason why everyone used to love it, and honestly it's still such a great shade. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start applying this on my crease, just kind of like back and forth all over. I love to use this shade as a kind of like one and done look. Whenever I'm just in a rush, I'll just go ahead and throw this in the crease, and it's just like on the crease and on my lid, and I just absolutely love it. And now for all over my lid, I'm also gonna kind of like blend this into my crease. I'm gonna be using the shade Mythology, which is another kind of like very classic shade from MAC, and this is such a stunning pink. I really love this shade, and just so you can see it swatched because I didn't know which one to go for, this is gonna be the one up here. Super pretty. This is another shade that's perfect for like the one and done look. Like if you're in a rush and you just want to use one shadow, this is perfect for that. I'm gonna go ahead and use my finger instead, just because it's going to be of course better application. Just on my finger, I'm just going to apply it all over the lid and bring it up to my crease. I do want to use some glitter just to kind of like add a little bit more fun into this eye look. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the Chatty palette. I don't own a lot of glitters, so whenever this palette came out, I was super excited because it's something that my collection needed, and I love that they're all pressed glitter, so they're kind of like easier to apply. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Aura shade. I'm not sure if I want to do Aura or I think I'm gonna go for Aura, the first one that I mentioned. So this one, it kind of like has a more dimensional colors. It has a ton of like shades in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just apply. I did apply a lot, so I'm gonna kind of like put in the middle of my two fingers, and I'm just going to press this on the center of my eyelid. Just adding that little bit of glitter makes the look so much more fun. And of course it's gonna be some fallout because you are working with glitter, and I'm not wearing any kind of like glitter glue or nothing, you know, among those lines, so it's going to be normal to get some fallout. I did get a little bit, but whatever, I'll just leave it. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and grab a smaller, kind of like more dense, precise blending brush. I'm sorry, flat brush, and I'm going to just go back into soft brown, and I'll just run this very lightly on my lower lashes, just to pull the full look together. And then just to make everything a bit more cohesive, I'm also going to go ahead back on Mythology, which is the one that I used all over my lid, and I'm going to add just a tiny bit of this on the center of my lower lashes. Now for my inner corner, I'm going to highlight. I'm going to be using Honey Lust. Very pretty shade, and I'm just going to use this with my pinky and just apply this on my inner corner. So we are done with the eye look. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply a ton of mascara. I'm gonna be using the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black with the Bambi Eye mixed together. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll finish up. So makeup is all done, mascara is applied, and now we have the most important thing to kind of like pull everything together. That's going to be my lipstick. And I don't know if I can still pull this lipstick, so I am not sure if I'm gonna be able to keep it, but I am going to attempt to use Candy Yum Yum, another classic from MAC. I feel like whenever you thought MAC, you pretty much thought Ruby Woo, Candy Yum Yum, all these kind of like very classic shades by MAC. This is one of them. I am going to kind of like dab it on my lips instead of just literally applying, because I don't know how this is going to look. I don't know if I'm already too old for this shade or it's gonna even look good on me still. So again, I just applied a little bit on my finger. I used to love this lipstick so much. And this is very pigmented, and it's kind of like honestly not the most comfortable to wear because this is the retro matte, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this, oh, it's just a matte formula. So I mean, if I dab it like that very slightly, I feel like it's gonna be okay. Let me just go ahead and apply a little bit more. So I actually do like it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it as is. Of course, I didn't like intensify it as it can get because it is a very intense cool tone pink. I just kind of like dabbed it a little bit like you saw, and I feel like it's actually very cute with this full eye look and the full makeup look. Anyway, the only other thing that I added was some MAC's Fix Plus. I do have this one in the rose scent. I love that it has that little bit hint of rose. It just makes my application a bit more enjoyable. But anyway, you guys, that's gonna be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I just wanted to do something very quick, very easy, but I promise you that just applying that glitter, I've been so much into glitter lately, which is not something that I particularly used to like before, but I feel like it's changed everything. Like whenever I do a little bit of glitter in the middle of my eyes, it just makes me feel so much better with that extra little thing that I added. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and please subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!